Ladies and gentlemen, Trump's taxes still don't lead to any specific legal statute that he broke. So they're investigating just to see if they could find something. Trump's taxes in hand, Manhattan DA's probe heats up. Heats up for, to find what? Usually, before an investigation, there's some kind of criminal act, whether it's a hedge fund tanking or going under, whether it's like Bernie Madoff, where there's a Ponzi scheme and suddenly the market falls and everyone loses their money, or it's a land deal like Whitewater and the Clintons where people lose their money. Or with Michael Cohen, it is the bank actually saying, yeah, this person broke protocol, we notified the authorities. What did Trump do? I want to know what Trump did. So this is an article in the Associated Press. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. By the way, I'll have, of course, my live stream later this evening. But I want to know what Trump did. In each of my segments, in the description, just go to the description of any one of my segments, my uploads, I should say. There's an article from CNN, and the article from CNN admits that they don't have anything. They literally don't have anything on Trump. And the article says, with records now in hand, this is several weeks back, with records now in hand, Vance and his prosecutors will be able to investigate, to get into investigative theories, pursue interviews with key witnesses, and determine, and this is the admission here, and determine whether they believe any state laws have been broken. They don't even know if any state laws have been broken. They're meeting with Michael Cohen for the 8th time. Michael Cohen was already interviewed 8, 9, 10 times prior to impeachment. And Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to a whole lot of legal statutes broken pertaining to banks. So he had a taxi business that completely went under. You could just look it up. You can look it up. You can see exactly. I mean, this is Vox. $20 million in bank and tax. So this man, you can see that he had the value of the loans, okay, from 2. His taxi business went under. His taxi business completely went under, and he didn't report the income that he made in cash. So, I mean, that's a whole problem right then and there. But you could see that he had this taxi business, and then it went under. What did Trump do? I want to know what he did. So they have his taxes. You don't think they've had his taxes for 2 weeks now? They haven't sifted through the thousands of pages. They haven't found anything. They've already had his taxes for 2 weeks now. I think it was like a week or a week and a half ago. About 2 weeks they've had. What is it that they found? Could you imagine if they found 30,000 of Madam Secretary's deleted emails? All the wonderful, incriminating things they'd find. They don't look. They don't have any, there's no zest or zeal or fervor. There's no desire to really look into the potential crimes of Democrats. If you want to, by the way, read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, the Daily Caller, other publications, go to hagoodman.com, to my new Patreons. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is increasingly difficult to be a content creator. Your Patreons allow me to remain completely independent. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you. You can see my debates there as well on hagoodman.com. I'm working on something really special also. Ladies and gentlemen, they've had his taxes for 2 weeks. They've already interviewed Michael Cohen. There's no energy or enthusiasm to investigate Biden's son's emails. There's no energy or enthusiasm to investigate Madam Secretary's deleted emails. They don't look at legitimate controversies on their end. They just focus on Trump because they know they cannot stop him. President Trump, although if he just toned down his rhetoric, I'm voting for Trump because on May 1st, 2021, we should already leave. We should already be leaving Afghanistan. And Trump negotiated a withdrawal. Now you get all the articles. Gosh, it's going to be tough to meet that date. Oh, what? And then even in Vox, you have an article. This is the liberal mentality. Why we should stay. Why we should not withdraw. It's like we've been there for 20 years. And this country was sent on an era of never-ending military conflict, counterinsurgency quagmires, from the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld regime to President Obama, who campaigned and won by saying, I'm going to reverse Bush's foreign policy. He even called Bush's foreign policy illegal. And when I heard that, I remember it was during a debate, I said, my God, this man is going to be special. Instead, he engaged in a failed NATO intervention that completely obliterated a country and caused that country to become a failed state in Libya. President Trump, see, this is the thing. Democrats and critics and media and morally superior liberals and conservatives who don't like his personality but happen to, in terms of the Republicans, vote alongside him 90% of the time. They weigh the two, like rhetoric or what he does. First president to step foot in North Korea, to begin détente between North and South Korea. Abraham Accords, First Step Act, prison reform legislation, allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Trump signed an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses, which is running rampant. The Trump administration sided with Asian students against Harvard's discrimination. So you can look at what Trump did, but his rhetoric outweighs, his Twitter profile outweighs any good thing that he did. And in this society, there are professors losing, I'm reading these, there are professors losing their job for, just words. There are people who lose their livelihood and their jobs just because they're on Twitter. And then the left says, well, there's nothing wrong with the way we're acting and judging people and condemning people. I told everyone about 3 years ago, I said, get off of Twitter. Get off of Twitter. There's no point to being on Twitter. It's the worst possible, it's the absolute worst. It's the absolute worst platform that's ever been created. If you take a whole bunch of people and allow them to voice their opinions on any platform, you're going to get a tremendous amount of negativity. This makes it very efficient. This is the most efficient cyber reality to vent negativity. That's why ideas that wouldn't resonate were it not for Twitter have now resonated throughout the U.S. The entire planet, by the way, doesn't give a you-know-what about Twitter or about any of the orthodoxies that have been created within the past 2 years as a response to Trump. Really, a lot of these protocols and orthodoxies, or a lot of these sacred cows that the left just has created in the past couple of years, has been a very warped response to Trump that originated within cyberspace, where Twitter is. You look at Democrats have every possible advantage from the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, Vanity Fair, Esquire, Daily Beast, BuzzFeed, The New Yorker, The Atlantic, the Time Magazine, Mother Jones, The Nation. I mean, it's like all of Hollywood, all of the music industry, every late night show host, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert. I mean, it's like every single possible advantage every single advantage, in addition to the social media algorithms. Notice, like, the past 5-6 months, you can, well, if you're a content creator, you can definitely see, like, if you want to talk about anything to do with President Biden, oh my God, you have to jump through hoops. But Twitter is like a haven, like this, it's a nightmare if you're a conservative, but it's actually geared towards amplifying ideas that originate on the left, or ideas that resonate with the Democratic Party. So it's really interesting. Like, you have this suspicion now, this like suspicion that's been legitimized as evidence to investigate, not an actual financial like event taking place, whether your taxi business tanked because Michael Cohen's taxi business tanked. He already was interviewed 1 million times before the first impeachment, and they didn't impeach Trump on anything to do with a financial crime. There hasn't been a financial collapse associated with Trump. You say, well, his bankruptcies. Okay, people are allowed a bankruptcy, if you follow the law, is part of, it's a legal way of dealing with a financial collapse. You're dealing with it through the law. Okay, so they say his bankruptcies, but he built himself back up. One thing about Trump is he's a quintessential American, almost like not just brand or myth, but like he's part of Americana. He's built himself back up. He's fallen down. He's built himself back up. He conquered Hollywood. Didn't take him that long. That's one of the reasons why Hollywood's obsessed with him. And, I mean, all those liberals who can't stand Trump are watching The Apprentice. So, yes, he shouldn't have insulted LeBron James. He shouldn't have insulted NFL athletes. He shouldn't have utilized Twitter in the manner that he did, because it was a trap. It was a trap for President Trump, and it gave life and energy and enthusiasm to Democrats who normally wouldn't have that energy. There's nothing about the Democratic Party that gets people going, that gets people really enthusiastic. There's no electricity or energy. It's all, if they weren't propped up by every conceivable possible advantage, they really wouldn't have a political party. They don't have any ideas they actually believe in. Their idea is incremental change on everything. Trump's was not incremental change. That's why they called him a despot and authoritarian, even though his intelligence agencies set him up and framed him. We have not only they're talking about bias of all types, and you have Peter Strzok saying, we'll stop Trump, and that's not bias. There's zero bias whenever anyone's investigating Trump. But there's definitely bias everywhere else in society. So Democrats, again, are all over the place. They don't have any specific value system, okay? President Trump is not the monster people have created. Now, he fed into that hoax and image. He fed into it with his words. If he just toned down a little bit, he'll rebound again. But he has to never get back on Twitter. He'll be unstoppable. Because if he's not on Twitter and they have to fabricate this outrage off of like a press release or something, that it's not the same. It wouldn't be the same at all. Anyway, what did this man do? They said that he inflated his net worth. Well, that's an issue with Deutsche Bank. Usually that's an issue also when there's a financial collapse of some type. So Michael Cohen, they said, he inflated his net worth. But it was because it was tied into the fact that his taxi business was in the toilet. So, and he didn't pay millions upon millions in taxes because of that. The IRS had Trump's taxes. Okay, the IRS wasn't in possession of Michael Cohen's taxes. So anyway, give me your thoughts below. They have nothing. Yet another. When did Vance? Oh, and by the way, he's retiring. So, February 25th. It's been like about 3 weeks now. It's been about 3 weeks. February 25th. And still nothing. Give me your thoughts below. Be here for the live stream this evening. Thank you. 3 weeks! They couldn't read all of his tax returns in 3 weeks? Give me your thoughts.